They desire you, but they are afraid. They miss you, but they do not know if you will receive them. They want to reach out, but they are terrified of what your silence might mean. This is the inner conflict that has been growing inside them for a long time. Yesterday, that conflict reached a point where it could no longer be ignored. For months, or perhaps even longer, this person has been trying to convince themselves that distance was the right choice. They told themselves that enough time had passed. They tried to focus on other things. They buried themselves in work, responsibilities, distractions, and daily routines. Yet none of those things removed the connection. They only covered it temporarily. Yesterday, something forced them to stop running. Perhaps it happened during a quiet moment. Perhaps it happened late at night, when the world became silent and there was nobody around to distract them. Or perhaps it happened in the middle of a normal day, when a simple memory suddenly appeared without warning. Whatever triggered it, the result was the same. The emotions they had been holding back came rushing to the surface all at once. That is why the energy felt so intense. That is why you could not ignore what you felt. There are moments when emotional energy becomes so concentrated that it breaks through every barrier. Yesterday was one of those moments. This person was forced to face truths they had been avoiding. They realized that time has continued moving forward. They realized that life has changed. Most importantly, they realized that you are changing too. That realization shook them deeply, because while they were trying to maintain control, something inside them began noticing signs that you were no longer waiting in the same way. Your energy felt different. Your focus felt different. Even if you did nothing dramatic, even if you simply started investing more energy into yourself, they felt it. The soul notices changes long before the mind understands them. And yesterday, they felt a shift. For the first time, the possibility of truly losing you stopped being an abstract idea. It became real. That realization brought fear. Not the fear of being alone for one evening, not the fear of temporary discomfort. A deeper fear. The fear of recognizing the value of someone after creating distance from them. The fear of understanding what they had while wondering if it can ever be recovered. That is the weight they are carrying now. This is why their thoughts have become repetitive. Your name appears in their mind unexpectedly. Memories replay without invitation. Conversations from the past return with astonishing clarity. Small details they thought they had forgotten suddenly become vivid again. The sound of your voice, the way you laughed, the comfort of your presence, the unique feeling of being understood. These memories are not appearing by accident. They are surfacing because the emotional walls are weakening. When a person finally stops resisting what they feel, everything they pushed away begins returning. And that is exactly what is happening. Yesterday, they could no longer maintain the illusion that they had completely moved on. The evidence was everywhere inside them. No matter where they looked, they found reminders. No matter what they focused on, your presence seemed to appear between the spaces of their thoughts. This created frustration. It created confusion. It created emotional exhaustion. Because the harder they tried to escape the feelings, the stronger the feelings became. Many people believe that suppressing emotions makes them disappear. The truth is often the opposite. What is suppressed grows in silence. What is avoided gains strength in the shadows. Eventually, the pressure becomes too great. Eventually, the emotions demand attention. Yesterday, that demand became impossible to ignore. That is why this person is experiencing such a powerful emotional reaction. They are not simply remembering you. They are confronting themselves. They are confronting the choices they made. They are confronting the opportunities that were lost. They are confronting the possibility that pride, fear, uncertainty, or hesitation may have cost them something precious. These realizations are not easy. They create a storm inside the heart, and storms always seek release. This is why you may continue feeling unusual sensations in the coming days. Moments of unexpected emotion, sudden memories, strange dreams, an unexplained urge to check your phone. These experiences can happen when emotional energy reaches a peak. The connection between two people who shared something meaningful does not simply disappear because communication stops. Silence changes many things. Distance changes many things. But certain emotional impressions remain alive much longer than people expect. Yesterday, this person felt those impressions with extraordinary force. For them, it was as if every unresolved feeling suddenly demanded attention at the same time. There was nowhere to hide. No distraction was powerful enough. No activity was interesting enough. No conversation was satisfying enough. Everything felt incomplete. Everything felt slightly empty. Because at the center of their emotional experience stood one undeniable truth. They still care. And caring creates vulnerability. That vulnerability is what they have been trying to avoid. Yet yesterday, it found them anyway. It arrived without permission. It arrived without warning. And once it arrived, it refused to leave. Now they are standing at an emotional crossroads. One path asks them to continue pretending, to continue suppressing, to continue acting as though nothing matters. The other path asks them to be honest, to acknowledge what they feel, to admit what they have been carrying inside. That decision is creating tremendous pressure, because honesty requires courage, and courage becomes difficult when there is uncertainty. They do not know what your reaction would be. They do not know how much has changed. They do not know whether they still have a place in your life. Those questions circle endlessly through their mind, again and again, hour after hour, creating a cycle of hope and fear. One moment they imagine reconnecting. The next moment they imagine rejection. One moment they feel inspired to reach out. The next moment, doubt convinces them to remain silent. This emotional back and forth is exhausting. It drains their energy. It keeps them awake. It makes concentration difficult. And it forces them to confront feelings they thought they had already escaped. That is why yesterday was so significant. It was not simply another day. It was a turning point, an emotional threshold, a moment when something hidden finally demanded recognition. The truth is that the human heart can tolerate many things. It can tolerate distance. It can tolerate uncertainty. It can tolerate silence. But eventually, it becomes tired of carrying unspoken emotions. Eventually, it seeks resolution. That desire for resolution is growing stronger inside this person now. Whether they admit it openly or not, they are searching for clarity. They are searching for peace. They are searching for relief from the emotional weight they have been carrying. And the more they search, the more they are forced to acknowledge where those feelings lead. They lead back to you. Not because you are perfect, not because life is simple, but because certain connections leave marks on the soul that cannot easily be erased. Yesterday, those marks became impossible for them to ignore. The memories became louder. The emotions became stronger. The reality became clearer. And now they find themselves facing a truth they have tried to avoid for a very long time. The truth that your absence has affected them far more deeply than they ever wanted to admit. The truth that moving forward has not been as easy as they pretended. The truth that what they feel still exists. And as these realizations continue unfolding, the pressure inside them continues growing. Because once the heart finally recognizes the truth, it becomes very difficult to return to denial. The walls may still stand for a little while longer. The silence may continue for now. The hesitation may remain. But something important has already changed. Something awakened yesterday. Something broke through the defenses. Something reminded them of what truly matters. And that awakening is still unfolding right now. They want to talk to you, but the fear of rejection keeps them frozen. Every time they think about reaching out, another voice inside them warns them about what could happen. They imagine being ignored. They imagine discovering that too much time has passed. They imagine finding out that your heart has already moved somewhere they can no longer follow. This fear creates a powerful emotional conflict. One part of them wants to close the distance. Another part wants to protect itself from possible disappointment. As these two forces collide inside them, they generate an enormous amount of emotional energy. That energy has direction, and whether they realize it or not, much of it is directed toward you. This is why your intuition may have become unusually active. This is why memories may have surfaced unexpectedly. This is why their presence may have felt strangely close, despite the physical distance between you. Their mind has been working overtime, trying to escape these emotions. They have searched for distractions. They have tried to stay busy. They have immersed themselves in routines and responsibilities. They have attempted to replace thinking with activity. Yet none of it has worked completely. Feelings do not disappear simply because they are ignored. Emotions have a way of returning. They wait patiently beneath the surface, and when the pressure becomes too great, they rise again. Yesterday, that pressure reached a breaking point. Everything they had been trying to suppress began pushing its way into awareness. The floodgates opened. The emotions became impossible to control. The memories became impossible to silence. And suddenly, they were forced to acknowledge something they had spent a long time avoiding. You still matter to them. Not in a small way, not as a passing memory, but as someone whose absence continues to affect their emotional world. That realization frightened them. Because once a person recognizes the depth of what they feel, they can no longer pretend those feelings do not exist. They realize that your impact on their life remains alive. Your influence remains present. Your memory remains powerful. And for someone who has been trying to maintain emotional distance, that realization can feel overwhelming. The fear that followed was not only about missing you, it was also about regret. The fear of realizing a mistake after time has already passed. The fear of wondering whether a bridge can still be rebuilt. The fear of questioning decisions that once seemed certain. These emotions created a reaction that extended beyond the mind. The body became involved. When emotions become intense enough, they begin expressing themselves physically. The body often reveals what the mind is trying to hide, and that is exactly what happened. Yesterday, they may have noticed an unusual heaviness in their chest, a feeling they could not easily explain. Not a physical injury, not an illness, just a sensation of pressure. A sensation of carrying something unspoken. A sensation that seemed to follow them wherever they went. This kind of emotional weight often appears when feelings have remained trapped for too long. Every conversation never spoken, every message never sent, every truth never expressed. All of it accumulates. Eventually, the burden becomes difficult to carry. Yesterday, they felt that burden more strongly than ever. There may have been moments when they stopped what they were doing and simply stared into space. Moments when they took a deep breath without understanding why. Moments when they felt overwhelmed by emotions they could not put into words. Their body was responding to what their heart had already recognized. Another sign of this emotional struggle appeared in their sleep. Rest has become difficult. Even when they manage to fall asleep, true peace remains elusive. Their thoughts continue moving beneath the surface. Their emotions continue searching for answers. Their subconscious continues revisiting memories. As a result, sleep becomes fragmented, interrupted, restless. They wake up unexpectedly. They find themselves thinking when they should be resting. And in those quiet hours, when the distractions of the day disappear, thoughts of you become louder. The silence leaves nowhere to hide. The darkness creates space for reflection, and reflection often brings the